we are back on Soch ki Tea Talk, train of thoughts with series of episodes. We try and bring the prominent personalities on Tea Talk to share their wisdom, their experience, so that the target audience can draw in meaningful learning. Many a times in our life, I think we are confused how we have to go ahead with our career. The whole initiative, the philosophy of Tea Talk is to ensure that how best they can help the society at large. In today's episode, we'll be talking more in terms of an higher education. And if we talk in terms of an Indian higher education system have undergone a massive expansion, that's post-independent India, like economic liberations of 1990 and the rapid economic development has witnessed a substantial demand for the MBA education, which has given a way to the private and the public institutes which are there. And if we talk in terms of an education, is seen as a career finder then rather than developer or the management thinker. The difference is crucial in long run. We need to develop a huge body of knowledge in terms of a management thinker to support the growth of an industries. There are the many MBA autonomous institutes in India. The government is pursuing the policy to liberate MBA education. Overall, the Indian MBA systems have developed in keeping with the times. However, one serious gap is there. We are talking in terms of a management thinker. Today on this platform, we are having the visionary leadership in the global education, Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand, Managing Director of an UBS Business School, that's Universal Business School in Karjat. Sir, welcome to Tea Talk Soch ki.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, sir.
And thanks a lot for spending a valuable time. We try and ensure as per target audience which are concerned with your experience, they draw some meaningful learning out of it. Like a brief introduction of Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand. He is a TEDx speaker and the founder chairman of an UBS for last 13.5 years. And in fact, as far as the corporate experience which is concerned, he is a MD of an Thomson Reuter South Asia. Global is also a global Goodwill ambassador. And he was a business manager with Standard Chartered Bank and the manager of international business formerly as in Ford Brothers. And he started his career with HSBC in the year 1991. As far as his qualification which is concerned, he did his MBA from Jain in finance and then from I Business School, strategic management and the business strategy. The Tug School of Business at Dartmount, business leadership, and with the University of Michigan, Stephen Rose School of Business in terms of innovations and the leadership. Today, I think on this platform of Tea Talk, we are having Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand to share his thought process as far as the industry which is goes and his story right from the education till now. Sir, once again back to Tea Talk Soch ki. In fact, we have gone through your profile. It's both in terms of and as far as the corporate experience which is concerned at the multinational level, it's really rich, and the transformation of an global education as for the UBS which is concerned, we have seen how they are different from the other B school. Now for our benefit of our target audience, can you please share your journey from education till the start of your job?
So I was in Green Lawns High School and then was in HR college. During my graduation, honestly, we used to have lectures starting at 7 in the morning and finishing at 10:30. So I would leave the last lecture because we were allowed 75% attendance, and I would go to work. So literally throughout my 3 years of my BCom, I was working. The first year was with HSBC. Where I learned a lot of tricks and got a lot of hits in that early stage when I was a door-to-door salesperson. And I had to face the brickbats of negativity where the doors were slammed on my face. So that was challenging at that very young age. You're raw, you're 17 years of age, and you're getting doors slammed on your face. So it was a tough moment. And then from there, I learned how to take those hits at a very early stage, but at the same time figure out a way to make a difference in terms of make the targets and how do you find that way of doing it. was the fun learning part. So you go through those trials and tribulations, but figure it out. Then I joined the Gromore Research and Asset Management, where I was in equity research. I joined Mr. Harshad Mehta. So I was 1 year pre-scam, 1 year post-scam with him.
Nice.
So I had another ups and down journey. So my entire graduation was spent in these two organizations. I was also an avid sports person, so I kept going at sports. In college, in spite of me doing a full-time job for nearly 3 years of graduation, I was in every activity possible. So I was the vice chairman of the Students' Council, went in for elections, won the elections, and had to manage all the various operations of the college. I was also head of the Management Society, the Public Speaking and Debating Society, NSS leader, and I think there was not a sport that I did not represent college in.
Nice.
So I think, people always say there's a paucity of time. I think, I did my graduation, I represented a college in sports and every, management debates and so on, and was able to, put in effort, which was a full-time job, essentially. So that was my journey in college, and then I think that contributed me to being one of the youngest students at SP Jain Institute of Management and Research, which is, die hard for today people to get into. And I was very fortunate that being the youngest in my class, and there was a average age at that point was 3.5 to 4 years of work experience, when the oldest guy was 13 years senior to me. So I was the kid in the class. So for me it was great because I learned a lot from my classmates who were rock stars, had done full-time work experience post their graduation. So that was a great experience and learning. I don't think they learned much from me, but I learned a lot from them. And through that journey, I then decided now is the time to pursue finance, which was my dream, and that's what got me into my first job, which was in international business, where I took there's another interesting story where I literally stepped out of placement. I decided, many students say I want placement from a college, and I was one of those crazy guys way back in 1996, 95 actually, when the placement season was, and I said I'm out of placement, I'll find myself a job, and that's helped me good over the years.
Okay, good. I think one thing what we have seen, like since you were more into the sports, you were part of an NSS and all those extracurricular activities which are there, and at the age of 17 you have started exploring the possibilities of being part of an HSBC at such a young age, and maybe I think for more than couple of decades we could see you as fit as you were then, So as far as the sports which are concerned, I think that teaches you a lot of management lesson which are there. Okay, then how you got into the field of an education
So I would reiterate your comments with respect to sports. I think sports is life. There is no timeouts. When you're in the game, you're playing, of course, playing to win, but you do lose many times in sports, and that's fine. You brush yourself off. It's not like, if you lose, you will say, I will never play the game again. You want to get back, get better at it, and that's life. When you have a bad day at work or you lose a big deal, I would say, brush off, figure out where you went wrong, recharge, relearn, and go and keep trying till you succeed. And that's the sports analogy I would like to say. Now, coming to my journey into education, I think it was purely a function of wanting to do something essentially on my own. So there was an entrepreneurial streak in me. That was one attribute I would put it to. Second was giving back to society, and this is social entrepreneurship because education is a not-for-profit sector. So it was a great feeling and I think those seeds were born in SP Jain because they have a DOCC project where we had a credit course where we had to give back to society. So I think those seeds were laid very early on. I was also avid mountaineer, so I pursued the Duke of Edinburgh Award scheme where I got the gold medal, and that also has a very strong component of CSR and giving back. So I said, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to give back. That's social entrepreneurship. Also, I had the privilege of speaking at various forums like the World Economic Forum. And when I used to go to these forums, you would have the who's who of the CEOs in India, and they would sit on those panels with me and say, any problem in India which needs to be fixed or in the world needs to be fixed, education. I said, these are the smartest guys in the world running very successful businesses, and they're saying education is the, that's where you can mold the next generation. So I said, rather than me just speaking about it, let me go into it and, make a difference in that space. So that's how my journey was. It also goes somewhere maybe in my bloodstream. Both my parents, my mother was a PhD, taught for 30 years. My father was a pass out from Jamnalal Bajaj, and he taught for 35 years in JBIMS, Sydenham, Narsimonji, and SP Jain. So I think maybe in the house there was a mahal of education. My grandfather was principal of Khalsa College, and he studied in Cambridge. My aunt was a principal of a school. So I think there's a lot of education in our family. So maybe there was a bit of that, but I think I had achieved, everybody has a bucket list of what you want to achieve in the corporate world, right? And I was very, very fortunate, again, with the grace of God, with all due humility, to have achieved all of that. It's like if you want to be, you're an MBA finance. The dream for an MBA finance is to work in the top financial centers in the world.
Correct.
So I worked in London, I worked in New York, I worked in Hong Kong. There was nothing bigger than that.
Correct.
The dream of any corporate professional is to be a CEO. At 32 years, I was managing a $2 billion business in 136 countries. So I had reached that spot a little too early. And 33 years of age, I was put on the board of a $40 billion corporation where I was, in a board meeting with all guys double my age, and I had the same vote, again with all due humility. So I said, I've all the check boxes that you have, I want to do this, I want to do that, all happened too soon to me. So I said, now is the time to give back if I can do it at this early age of my career.
Good. I think it's just very interesting to know about Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand. Like he opted out from the placement and he wanted to do something bigger. If the purpose is larger, I'm sure then achieve that goal and give back to society, it becomes more easier. I think it's an interesting conversation what we are having with Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand, who's a visionary leadership in the global education and the managing director of an universal business school that's in Karjat. It's very interesting story. We are going to catch up with Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand in our next episode about his journey as far as the corporate world which is concerned, and also would like to know about his sports. He had represented India in rugby. So please stay tuned to Tea Talk Ek Boond Soch Ki and catch up with Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand in our next episode. Till then, thank you very much.